Hello everybody, welcome back to a new video. As you may know, I have been a little bit uninspired to make music lately, and that has mostly to do with the current circumstances. The lockdown really is uninspiring, and it might feel good to be home the whole day and have the whole day to work on music, but it really isn't. Because every time you're inspired, you just sit down and you realize that you're not really inspired, and because you always have the chance to make music and you're always working with that, it's really hard to actually work on something that is good enough for you to actually want to finish. So what I decided to do to kind of combat that is to force myself to make a song on camera. That way I have an incentive to actually finish it, and I wanted to do a little bit of something different, something that isn't Psytrance. I've wanted to dive into techno and that kind of minimalist sound design, or tech house or something, or whatever this is going to end up being, for a little while now. That kind of the more slower dance style, I find that very interesting, and I hope you find it interesting too. So we're gonna be doing a track from scratch kind of thing, and I hope to be filming myself for about an hour and then edit it down to a reasonable time. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. If you do enjoy this video, feel free to leave a like. That really helps, indicates that you like this stuff, what I do. And without further ado, let's begin with it. Alright, so I've set up my standard template here, and the very first thing I want to do is make a basic drum loop, basic 4-bar drum loop. And to do that, all I'm going to do is I'm going to copy over my sidechain trigger to start off with. I'm going to set this to 126 BPM, because I believe that's a BPM that should be good for kind of the tech house, that kind of feeling. And I'm going to go for a little bit of an older sample pack. I have some sample packs here that might be good to use. We have this soft kicks things here, which are a little bit... that's not really what I'm looking for. It's more like it. Yeah, I'm looking for something like this. It's fairly aggressive, so maybe we can tone it down a little bit by giving it a little bit less sub. Still slightly loud on my end, so... Okay, I'm also going to chop it off right at the halfway point there. And I'm just going to set this up like this. Let's set this to -8, so I have enough headroom. And that's the kick. I feel like it goes slightly down on the amount of click that we have. Normally the techno has a little bit more mid-range, kind of like that. We're also going to add a lot of cymbals to this. I'm going to start off with a nice closed hi-hat here. Something like that maybe. I just pulled this in at random and it kind of works already. So let's set this to -10 for now. Nice low pass feeling of a closed head there, which you can use. And I want to complement it with an open head here. Kind of looking for the same kind of tonality. We could use this and kind of low pass it ourselves. And set this to -9. I have a lot of standard volumes that I tend to use, which I know just work well. What if you do something like this? I feel like we need another hi-hat over here maybe. Let's go for another closed one. Gonna give this a little low pass as well. And we're gonna group this together so we can process them together. As you can see, there's a little bit of a rumble, which we don't want. We can basically cut everything below 10 or 1K here. And then we can just duplicate this over. And to add a bit of variation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a second track here where we are going to put some more of these samples, or actually a second group. And I probably want something like a ride here. Something like this. Nice tonal version of a ride. I'm going to set this to very low volume actually. Something like this. And I'm going to accentuate the last beat here with that one, and we'll have another one that kind of does the same here, but a little bit different. So we'll set this to like -17. That's kind of nice. I'm also going to add a clap to all of this. Something like this maybe. It's a little bit short, maybe we want to layer it with something. But for now we're gonna just set this to -9, and that should hopefully work. I have a feeling this should have a little less volume still. And I also want to again get rid of the low end, because these are a little bit older samples, they're not the highest quality, so they don't have like the filtering. Let's do this as well. That sounds nice. Okay, I'm also going to add a reverb to this, so that a little bit more in the back of the mix. That already works. There's a little bit of a industrial feel to it as well, especially this one, which is really cool. I am going to layer up that clap with a longer one. Hopefully we can find a cool clap sound that works. I'm not looking for a snare. I think this might work. And we're just going to cut away all of the stuff that's happening before it. I just want like this thing here. Just want to keep that transient there as well. So let's do something like this. What we can do maybe, and this might be a bit of a weird idea, is to have the pre-shift in there sometimes. So we'll do something like this. Oh, that should be enough. And now we'll set this to -9 as well. Alright, that's nice. I'm gonna group this up as well. I'm not giving anything names at this moment, so that's a little bit disorganized. If I am going to continue working on this in the next video, I'll name it off camera in between episodes. If you guys want me to do that, then leave a comment. That way I can see. Alright, that should work. Now I want to add some percussions, and I'm quickly going to find like a loop for that. House loops maybe. I'm looking for more percussive. I actually like this on second thought. That might actually be very cool. If we set this to -10, that should... Okay. So now we need to complement all of this with like a bass sound. So I want to have something a lot mid-range heavy, that kind of feeling. It's not really techno, but I said I wasn't really sure of what I was going to make. So hopefully this will be, still would be really nice. It's kind of like tech house if you think of it. Let's play this. Oh. First I want to check which key we're in, because that's fairly important. It seems to be that the fundamental is at G sharp, so we can use G sharp here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make like a plucky Reese bass almost, with a lot more voices than the normal Reese bass would have. Something like that, and maybe if we distort it we can get that slight high end back. Like that. Now it feels kind of normal, almost. What we can do is maybe have a fundamental that sounds like that, and then have like a different waveform on top. We'll go to one of my packs and just choose a random one. I chose Modern Talking. It's a little bit of a square feeling, which I don't like. Maybe like that. We'll set this second one to mono. And we'll have all the phases start here, so they kind of fade out. Like that. I'm also going to remove all that low end stuff here. Alright. I'm gonna set this a little sharper. That should do. Going to make a quick loop like this. Something like this might work, just a very simple loop. And then we're gonna sidechain this very, very hard to the sidechain trigger. Now it's a bit loud for the drum loop, so I'm going to turn this down to -8. And when it's at -8, I don't really like the lack of mid-range. You can easily fix that with something like this. And just compressing it a whole bunch through like the multi-band OTT preset. We'll drive this into a limiter so it's really nice and loud. And what I want to do is I actually want to set up something like a glide here. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we'll go 7 here. Let's see if that is interesting enough. I don't like the 7 one, so if we put that at 3. If we now turn it down for all of these. It's a little bit of a melody that way. We're gonna arrange this later. I do want to add a few more effects. Maybe like a chord stab, I'm feeling. It should be fairly interesting. So I'm going to quickly choose like a preset that might be cool to start off with. Let's set it to this and then go up to the right octave here. Looking for something that just doesn't have the mono feature here. It might be a little while before we find it. Alright, so I found the preset which I edited a little bit and it sounds like this. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to set up a G sharp here. And so set up a minor chord. And I don't know if I wanted to do it on the first beat or the second. I'll have to experiment with that. If we put it here, it sounds like this. I probably want to edit some of these as well. Like I have just one note off down here. quite like that. I want to do some more variations to it. So for this, the end of the second bar and the fourth bar, I want to have a little bit more of a variation. So we'll add a second lead sound, which again, I'm just going to choose a preset and I'll probably cut it here. And then once I find something, we'll get back. All right, so I found something cool. I really like this sound here. So what I probably want to do is line up the first note from this thing with the chord there, and then have like a nice variation here. Maybe even just this one longer, and then separate it. Kind of like that. Let's see how that sounds like. First of all, I'm going to set this to -8. And this to -10 probably. For this one, we're also going to copy over the sidechaining. All right, and well, that's pretty basic loop we have there, and we can start arranging this thing now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop it down here, and then this will be like the second part of our intro. And I want to have like a very long and stretched out song all the way. So what we'll do here is we'll copy this over here. This is going to be a drop, so we'll have to add a few more main elements to this. What I'm thinking is to not get this thing involved in the intro, as well as the bass line maybe. Let's hear what that sounds like. What I feel like doing is almost getting rid of the kicks here. I don't think this is the right place to do it though. I think getting rid of the kicks should be done here. And then maybe get rid of the cymbals here instead. Alright, so I've set up a basic intro version here. I did film it, but it kind of fucked up and did some things I didn't want to do. So it kind of got messed up on video. So sorry for that, but what we have done is basically copied over all the drums and then muted the bass as well as that second lead sound that we have. And then I made a small variation here which sounds like this. And we can add like a fill element in there. And then we also have this variation at the end, which I still need to work out. Probably want to delete the sidechain trigger there. I might even do it like this. Let's get rid of that final one. And yeah, then we'll go over into a little break here. We'll probably have some of the drum elements in there because it's like a house track, so you always want some of the drum elements. But what I'm thinking for the first part of the intro, because normally these intros are very, very long, is to just keep this in here without the kick and then just make it sound like this. We'll have some variations in here as well, kind of like what we had with the other ones. So something like this maybe. And then once you start adding effects, that should sound really, really nice there. Alright, now it's time to add like a pad sound as like a backing element to this. So what I'm going to do is again just open up a simple preset, maybe something like this. Oh. Alright, so I found a cool sound here. It sounds like this. I think we can use this as a background element, especially here in the intro, which is a bit lacking at the moment. We'll have to find the right octave though. Has a little bit of a nasty high end, which we'll fix in a little bit. I think the octave we had before should be okay. I'm just going to drop a single note here, and then for the second run we'll leave one part out of it like this. Set this to like -10, so it's really a background element. And I really didn't copy over the sidechain, but I'm going to do that anyway, because I want these pad sounds to be sidechained anyway. So even though there's no kick, we're still going to sidechain there, and we're just going to copy over this version here and do a little bit of EQing on that as well. That should do the trick. Let's listen to this. And to add a little bit of variation, I'm going to play with the pitch bend. So I'm going to set this to +3 semitones, and we'll have the lower one still at -1, or -2 actually, sorry. And what I'm going to do is I'm probably just going to leave it here, no need for that upwards pitch bend. So something like this. I do want a slight variation there. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to set this up to 1. Actually, I'm going to set, 1, and then it's going to go down by a semitone. So this should go to, oh wow, now I need to do math. 89 if I'm, or 0.89, sorry. 0.89 should be. That sounds about right. And we can copy this over here. Actually, we can just, oh, no, because we have that different note there. So we can copy that over. Alright, so now we have a pad sound, and it sounds really cool. A little bit of a background element there. And I'm just going to have that sit in here as well. So we're starting to work on an actual arrangement. And for the kind of the build-up segment, what I want is, probably want the bass to kind of filter in. And what I'm going to do is have it come in like this. We'll do some stuff with the actual bass sound as well. I'm going to quickly set this here so we still have, oh, let's turn this up a little bit, so we still have no sub there before the drop hits, and then when the drop hits, all the sub is gonna come in. Probably want to get this thing in there as well. And to give it a bit more swing, what you can do again is just to get your sidechain trigger in there. To already make it a lot more danceable, even though there's no kick, which is kind of what we want. I don't want any sub to be there. And I'm also going to set this. And we're gonna have, first of all, we're gonna get rid of the low frequencies there because we don't need them. And we're going to apply filtering to almost all of those elements there. First of all, we're going to have the percussion loop come in like this. So that would give it a little bit more sound like that. I'm also going to filter in the high end here, because again, we only want it to be very slightly noticeable. It's going to start off without any volume here. You can just slightly hear it, and then it's gonna come up here. and it's gonna completely come in there. We need some more transitional elements. For example, I want to also filter in this part here, the lead sound that we have, and I just wanted to go like this, so something very simple. Probably also want to remove some of that mid-range. I want to work on a little bit of a very long build-up style clap loop. Let's get some of these. I think this could work nicely. We'll put this in here. And I want to use that kind of same shaky feeling that we have, that dotted 8 note feeling. So something like this, maybe. And then we'll have a pause here. And then we just have it go until there. And again, we're going to filter it. So this is going to be kind of like a build-up. I feel like the chords are almost a little bit too much high end there. Even though there's not a lot, we can kind of shape it off like that. That sounds very nice. I'm almost half an hour in, so I'm going to make this quick. I want to add some effects elements, especially to the intro, because that's kind of boring as it is. So let's find some. Let's set this to like -18, so it's very much in the background. I have this like that. That's kind of what I'm looking for. Let's go with that. I will slightly trim it like this. And set this to -26, so it's really in the background again. I'm gonna copy this over like that, and we'll also have it right here. I kind of don't want the pad sound there, so if we just stop it here. What we could do is just get rid of the volume. To accomplish that, instead of modifying the patch, what I like to do is just throw down a utility like that. That sudden cut really works well. And what I want to do in some of these cases to complement that uplifter is to just reverse a version of it like this. And for the drop we'll also have that, so that sits there. It's gonna probably be -23, so we'll have it a little bit louder. I don't really like this intro, this one here. We can do something like this. Also, for that very intro part, I kind of want to have this filter in as well a little bit more. I feel like this is warped wrongly. Right? This might also be warped. Yeah, we're gonna fix this thing. So I'll put this here. Let's delete all of this as well as this. I'll have to redo this all. Throw this down here, and then finally something like that should work. Is this in the right position? No. Alright, so I fixed all of those. And now we have something that sounds like this. Again, I'm not certain if I like that very first sound, so for now it's turned off. That's the transitions here. We do need to make this a little bit more interesting. I really like that. I'm going to save the project here, and hopefully I can edit it down a little bit. It's 40 minutes right now as I'm starting to work on the outro. But if you like this video, feel free to leave a like, and if you're new here, subscribe. This is normally not the content that I tend to do. I tend to come up with a cool sound and show you the tutorial how to make that and stuff like that. But I really didn't feel inspired, so I just decided to kind of YOLO it and start working on a track randomly. And it turned out better than I expected. I really like what we have so far, and it's definitely something we can work with. If you have any ideas for the track, feel free to leave a comment down below, and I would really love to see what you guys think from it and what you should do if you were in my shoes. Also, the Discord server should be up by now, and I'm planning on doing a feedback stream as soon as I have all the submissions in there. And yeah, that's going to be it for today, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.